Hello students, I'd like to walk you through the process of how to access some of the editors that we can use to work with Jupyter notebooks. One of them is the Jupyter platform itself, and the other would be Google Colab. So that's what I plan to do first. And then we'll open our Lab 1 notebook and walk through and see how we can get started by working with cells and then introducing just a little bit of Python code and run that. And then how, and the third part of this is going to be how can you save your notebook and turn it into, turn it on Canvas to get the credit for it. So let's get started. The first thing I'd like to do is to go to jupyter.org. Some of this is also given in the lesson, so you can access that part as well. Now, here's the part you could do because we do not wish at this point to install anything on a device. We just like to stay with browser-based systems. So I'm going to say try Jupyter. There are two choices here. Either we could do Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Lite. You are welcome for the kind of data science that we will be doing in this class. You would be perfectly fine working either with Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Lite or with Colab. So if I go into Jupyter Lab, then you see it opens an introductory notebook already, but I would like to walk you through the top bar, which is very much like any editor. You can either open a new notebook, or you could open a Python file, but for our purposes, we will just stay with a notebook. You could also open just a text file or a markdown file, and we'll see what that means. You can edit cells, you can run cells, you can change the kernel, and you can also do some other stuff. For example, you can upload a notebook from your local disk, and you can create folders and you can create folders as well. Now, here, this is a notebook that's already present, and you will see that this is divided into certain parts. Each part, you see this number here, is called a cell. This part, this kind of stuff, which has got code, is called a code cell. And you see this is a code cell here. And the stuff that has the text is called markdown. So if we wish to start our own cell, we need to first select here whether we would like to have a text cell or a code cell, and we can then insert the suitable cell. But for now, let's just walk through. As you can see, this is a text file, and this is the stuff that we need to read. And then when you come here, we see the code file. I'm going to do Shift Enter. And if I do Shift Enter, that is going to run this. So as you can see, it has taken this code, it has run it, and it has created this beautiful visualization for me. So there is a ton of information on this introductory worksheet that you can follow to see how to use notebooks and how to enhance them. The most important thing that that I would like to show is how to create a new file. You can create an absolutely new notebook and keep the kernel as pyodide and select this. And you see here we've got a blank notebook. I can select whether I would like to make this a markdown. If it's a markdown, then I can write any text. This is a text box, for example. And then if I run it, I do Shift Enter, then it's just text, so it will just going to display it. I can go back here, and you see, there is nothing on the bar actually tells me what I can do with this in terms of if I'd like to put a list, I'd like to make it bold. There are certain tags like HTML, which is called Markdown language, And that's what is there in your lesson. You see at the bottom of this, but it says markdown cheat sheet. You can actually go here and see all of the formatting in order to get headers, lists, images, and links and all of that, what you need to put in there. For example, if I were to make that as the first heading in my notebook, then I can do you see, so I put #h1, and now if I run it, this gets displayed as a heading. So there's tons of stuff that you can do to format your text cell, but that's the nice thing about some of the other platforms like Colab is that they actually give you the ability to do this without knowing a lot of the markup. Now what I'd like to do here after this is I'm going to go ahead and delete this cell. Here's how you can delete a cell. And I'm here and I'd like to add a cell. How can I add a cell? First, I'm going to choose and I'm going to say I'd like to add a quote cell. Oh, it has gone and changed this to Markdown. So here I would like to insert a cell below. I go here and I have, you see it says code because the default is code. I can change this to Markdown by flipping this. Now here I can just say, now here is a, you see the same hashtag is a comment symbol in Python. And I can say this is a Python comment. And how do I run this? I can run this either by the right triangle, run the shell, and because it's a comment, nothing gets executed, or I can do Shift Enter here and it will do the same thing. Now I also notice that my file doesn't have a name. And what I'd like to do here is I'd like to give my file a name. And I can call it, I can rename it and say my first file, right? And then that gets displayed here. So that's how you can rename it. Now let's write a little bit of Python code here. And then I am going to just say, hello world. And if I put this in double quotes, then that's like a string literal. And then I press this run and it just prints for me, hello world. If I did not like what I wrote, I'm absolutely free to cut this cell. So I'm going to delete it. I can also, for example, copy cells using this. I can restart the kernel and run all cells. So there's lots of stuff I can do. I can, if I go into edit, I can copy paste cells. I can split a cell. How do I split a cell? So let's say I accidentally went here. I went here and I said, hello there, and then 2 + 2. And then I found that this was way too much stuff and I wanted to split this into multiple cells. And I go here and I say, can you please divide this into 2 cells? And now you see it has actually split the cell. I can further split the cell by doing split cell. Oh, I was here. Go here and say split cell, and now it has whoops, it is actually, so just put this on another, right? Now I've got a lot of empty cells here and I can simply delete them by deleting the cell. And here I have got that. And now if I run this, this will say hello there. And if I run this, it's going to say 4. So let's look at some of the view options. These are the view options for, I can do show line numbers. So it'll actually put line numbers here. You can explore this at your leisure. You can merge cells, you can delete cells, you can select cells and do a lot of stuff. And you can also run all cells. So at one time, this will run all the cells for us rather than click one after the other. Now, once I'm done, what I'd like to do is you need to keep saving your notebook. Otherwise, you might find that you've done a lot of work and you go accidentally, you click out and you find that none of your work is saved. So please be sure that you save your notebook. And if you would like, and if I wish, I can restart the notebook by clicking back here again. I have the option here, you see, of downloading the notebook, and you can, so I did that by right-clicking on this. If you right-click on this, you can actually download your notebook, and you will have a copy of my first file.ipnb so that you can upload it onto Canvas. Jupyter Lite is a lot like Jupyter Lab. So what I'm going to do next is I would like to go to and show you how that gets done on Google Colab. For that, you will need to go into your college Gmail. And I would also send you a shared link that you may be able to access from. So I'm going onto my drive. The way to access that is to go onto your drive. And you see, I already have a lab1.ipy notebook here. I can, if I would like to start a new file, I can just say new. And you see, go to more, and then it takes you to Google Colab. This is very neat because you get to save everything on your college Gmail drive, and that's why I have used this. Now here, this is, as you can see, a very far simpler pane even than Jupyter Labs, and I can call this my first lab, for example. And boom, it gets saved. Now here you do not see Markdown, you see text, and then you see a lot of the formatting features already available on the ribbon. The way the cells work, adding, inserting, deleting, and creating cells, merging, splitting, all of that is exactly the same as we have gone over. Now, if you'd like to, and here the download option is available right here, and we can do it. So these are the small differences between, the features are the same, but the small differences between Colab and Jupyter. Now, all of these features are here. You can delete the cell right from here. You can edit the cell. You can add comments. You can add a link, and so on. What I'd like to do is I'd like to upload upload notebook, and here I'm going to go into browse and pull up the Lab 1 notebook. This is what you would see when you open your file. I have actually made this a shareable file, and I have copied the link and sent it to you. But what you would need to do is you would not be able to edit it. What you would need to do is change it to Lab 1 W. For example, my ID is 134562, for example. Change the name of the file to this, and then you would be able to have your own copy that you can edit. So if the shared link doesn't work, you will be getting a copy of this file that you can upload into your Google Colab exactly the way that I did it, by going into File and then going into Upload Notebook, and then you can change the name to your ID and work on the book. What do we need to do here? So this lab just goes over how to use text and code cells. A link to the cheat sheet is given here. You are expected to add a new code cell after this. So we are going to go ahead and say, all right, I would like to add a cell here. I'm going to do plus code, and I get a cell added here. And then I do 2 plus 2, and then I get the answer. I've run it. So in a minute, I will get the response, which is 4 here. And so follow the instructions by inserting a text cell, and also the one thing that you would need to do is add a banner on the top here. I'm going to change this to text, to a text cell, and give your name here. For example, name is, let's say, I don't know, Joe Smith. And then here we are going to say lab ID. This is your ID, and this is your assignment, and this is going to be lab 1. And so when you do that, this one is going to be W 1 2 3 4 5 6, and see, this is getting displayed here. Whatever you do is getting displayed there. Now everything is on one line. If you'd really would like to put that, if you'd like to put it on separate lines, we can do this, and it gives us list items. And I'm going to copy this and put it on list item 1 here. Copy this and put it on list item 2. And copy this and put it on, let's say, list item 3. And then I'm going to delete this. Just format this a little bit. And here is, I've got the header for the, so this is how I will expect you to put a header on each of your lab submissions, so that I know your name and your ID and the assignment that you're submitting. And in fact, it might not be a bad idea to put the date here as well. And I can simply add the date. The date of your assignment is going to be whatever, let's say today is 1/28/2024. And that will complete your banner for the submission. So please do not forget to do this. If your assignment is lost or I cannot identify it, I will not be able to give you credit for it, right? So once you're done with this, then you would need to save please keep saving your file as you go. And then here you can download it as an IPy notebook. So it gets downloaded, and then you would need to submit this file onto Canvas in your lab submission box.